What do you do when the clock is against you and you have enough wisdom to do it over, but you don't have enough time to do it over? What do you do when you miss your season and you miss your window of opportunity? What do you do when you know that you've got the desire to do it and you've got the passion to do it, but you look in the mirror and the wrinkles in your face and the sagging of your body indicates you don't have time to do this all over again, and it feels like God has forgotten you? But I remind you, nothing just happens. It's amazing because sometimes you cannot know you're blessed because you're going through a famine, only to find out that the thing that you were worried about is not nearly as significant as the thing that you had. Sometimes you can have something and not appreciate it until you lose it. And if you were smart, you would learn how to count your blessings and to thank God for what he's done in your life. At this age, at this stage, there's a reason why it happened at this age. There's a reason why it happened at this level in life. It's not a mistake. It's not an accident. God didn't fall asleep on the job and the devil came in and wrecked the car. No, God never sleeps and he never slumbers. He's in complete control and he knows where you are and he knows how old you are and he knows how much time you spent and he knows what happened to you and he knows who walked out and left you and he knows who betrayed you, and he knows who molested you, and he knows who raped you, and he knows who rejected you, and he knows where you are in life, and he knows about your bills, and he knows about your degree, and he knows you dropped out of school, and he knows about what you didn't get, and he knows about the health of your child, and he knows about the condition of your neighborhood. Understand that and tell yourself nothing just happens. And hear me when I tell you this. When people can walk away from you, let them walk. When people can walk away from you, let them walk. I don't want you to try to talk another person into staying with you, loving you, calling you, caring about you, coming to see you, staying attached to you. I mean, hang up the phone. When people can walk away from you, let them walk. Your destiny is never tied to anybody that left. People leave you because they're not joined to you. And if they're not joined to you, you get super glue and you can't make them stay. Let them go. Your steps were ordered. If you hadn't got the phone call that you got when you got like you got it, you wouldn't even be here right now. If you hadn't made the turn that you made yesterday, you wouldn't experience what you're experiencing today. God has been behind the curtain like a puppet master, pulling strings in your life. It's not that you're smart. It's not that you're great. It's not that you're holy. It's not that you're perfect. It's not that you're good. But God winded you up, pointed you in the right direction, released you into your destiny, and you are here and you can't get away. Slap somebody and tell them nothing just happens. Think about the most impoverished, financially depleting thing that ever happened in your life and shout nothing. Think about the worst scandal that you ever went through in your life and shout nothing. Think about people who loved you and walked out and left you and shout nothing. Think about betrayal on the highest level of your life and shout nothing. Think about the struggle going on your job right now and shout nothing. This means that I'm up under the banner of his will. I'm up under the banner of his will. Even in the midst of death, I'm up under the banner of his will. Even in the midst of pain, I'm up under the banner of his will. Even in the midst of separation and disappointment, I'm up under the banner of his will. Can I take it to the next level? Jonah was sent to Nineveh, went to Tarshish, headed for Tarshish, not obeying God, got thrown off the boat into the belly of the fish, swallowed up for 3 days. Even though God told him to go to Nineveh and he didn't go, he was still in the will. He went the wrong way and he was still in the will. They threw him off the boat. He was still in the will. I'll prove to you he was in the will. It just happened to be a big fish swimming beside the big boat, so that when men dumped him over, the fish just happened. The fish carried him down to the bottom of the mountains with seaweed wrapped around his neck. He's thousands of feet below sea level, and God sustained him. Sustained him not 1 day, not 2 days, not 4 days, but three days. Nothing just happens. On the third day, the backslidden, rebellious, reprobate, disconnected, disjointed preacher comes up out of the water. And thousands of years later, Christ says, even as Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days, so shall the Son of Man be in the grave. He had to get up when he got up, and he had to go down when he went down, because nothing just happens. Your mistakes were in his will. Your trouble was in his will. Your pain was in his will. I don't care what you went through. David said, if I make my bed in hell, thou art there. If I take the wings of their morning and ascend to the uttermost parts of the earth, God is still there. He was with you in the middle of your trouble. He was with you in the middle of your pain. That's why Paul said, I've learned whatever state I'm in, therewith to be content. I know how to be rich. I know how to be poor. I know how to be free. I know how to be bound. You ought to shout, I don't care where you are, because nothing just happens. Whatever God has predetermined to happen, whatever God has predetermined to happen will come to pass. And no devil in hell has ever been able to abort the purpose of God, not once. And yes, God gave you a human will and you're a free moral agent, but if you think that your human will is strong enough to change his divine will, you are tripping. You are out of your mind. God is God. The reason we worship him as God is because he is the CEO. He is in charge. He runs the universe. And when God gets ready to make you, and when God gets ready to break you, and when God gets ready to take you, he's never been without the power to make you yield to his will. He's never, not one moment or time, not been able to orchestrate your affairs, and nothing in your life. Think about the most damnable thing that ever happened and shout nothing. Think about the most embarrassing thing that ever happened in your life and shout nothing. Think about the most impoverished, financially depleting thing that ever happened in your life and shout nothing. Think about the worst scandal that you ever went through in your life and shout nothing. Think about people who loved you and walked out and left you and shout nothing. Think about betrayal on the highest level of your life and shout nothing. Think about the struggle going on your job right now and shout nothing. Think about the attitude of your kinfolks and your family members and shout nothing. Think about how your boss is treating you on your job and shout nothing. Think about that disagreement between you and your children and shout nothing. Think about your past life of sin, your whoremongering, your inappropriateness, your attitude, your dysfunction, and shout nothing. Shout nothing. Let the devil hear you say nothing. That devil will think he won if you don't shout nothing. The devil will think he's in charge if you don't shout nothing. He'll think he's gonna win, but you gotta shout nothing. In the midst of hell and high water, shout nothing. In the midst of pain and despair, shout nothing. When your credit is denied, shout nothing. When you're evicted out of your house, shout nothing. When your boyfriend marries somebody else, shout nothing. Nothing just happens. God has a way of just choosing to bless you and saying, that lady right there, I'm gonna leave that house for her. Can't nobody buy the house but her. Everybody else that tries to buy it, everything's gonna be tied up. That's her house. Nobody's gonna get it but her. Favor. I tell you, it's not over till God says it's over. That's why God doesn't want to hear your excuses, because your excuses for not doing his will are based on your understanding. But God's going to do some things in your life that you don't understand. So it makes your excuses foolishness, because you're making excuses based on what you've seen happen before. What you've seen happen before, but nothing just happens. God's going to do something. God's going to do something for somebody in this room that you have never seen happen before in your life. You've never seen him do it for anybody else. You've never heard about him doing it. You can't explain how he did it, but God's going to make it happen.